In this video, we'll first review how to add integers, and then we'll move on into subtracting integers. Okay, so for a little review for adding. When you have negative numbers, I want you to think of owing money. And when you have positive numbers, I want you to think of having money. Okay, so if you have negative 5 plus 3, you owe $5. You have 3. Okay, when you pay them the 3, you're still going to owe 2. Okay, and just for comparing, remember numbers on the right are larger than numbers on the left. Okay, so like negative 2 would be larger than negative 6. Okay, when you're comparing, the numbers on the right are bigger than the numbers on the left. Okay, and that symbol, the inequality symbol, it's open towards the larger number. Okay, so in the blank space in your notes, let's go through some addition problems again. Okay, negative 15 plus 10. Okay, they have different signs. There are more negatives. You owe 15, you pay 10, you're still going to owe 5. Okay, so when you have different signs, you actually subtract the two absolute values. You keep the negatives because there are more negatives. 20 plus negative 5. Have 20, you owe 5. When you pay that off, you're still going to have 15. Okay, and what if you have the same signs? If you owe $10 plus you owe $20, you're going to keep that sign, you're going to owe 30. Okay, so when you have the same signs, you add the two numbers and you keep the common sign. Negative 5 plus negative 5. And sometimes they'll put parentheses there, but it's still an addition problem because it has that plus sign there. Okay, it's not a multiplication problem. Negative 5 plus negative 5, same signs, add and keep the sign. 5 plus negative 8. What is the answer to this one? Negative 3. Okay, and we'll do 3 more that have 3 numbers. Okay, so let's do negative 30 plus negative 10 plus negative 10. You can do 2 at a time. So the first 2, if I add them, I get negative 40. And then negative 40 plus negative 10, same signs, add them and keep the sign. Same signs, add and keep. Or you could have done that in the beginning if you notice that they're all negatives. You could have added all those numbers and kept the negative sign. 10 plus negative 8 plus negative 2. Okay, so the first 2, 10 plus negative 8 would be positive 2. There are more positives. And then 2 plus negative 2. I have $2. I owe $2. When I pay that off, I'm going to have nothing. 0. Okay, and the last review for addition. 20 plus 30 is 50. Bring down the plus negative 70. 50 plus negative 70. You owe more. Subtract those absolute values. 70 minus 50 is 20. All right, now you should have this picture in your notes. What would we get if we add all of these? Okay, so if I have on top all of those positive ones and on bottom all of those negative ones, what do you think you would get if you add up all of those numbers? Well, the way I look at it is 1 and negative 1, those guys would cancel out. I have $1, I owe $1. Okay, so all of these opposites would cancel out. Okay, so what I'm left with is negative 3. Negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. Okay, so here is the same picture, but what would we get if we took away 5 of the negative ones and then we added our new numbers? All right, so pretend I didn't have 5 of these negative ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go ahead and add up the new numbers in the picture. Okay, hopefully you remembered you can cancel out or cross out your opposites. And all that's left over is positive 2. I'm going to write that down here. What you just did is your first subtraction problem. Okay. When we started with that original picture, well, that was the picture from the previous problem. That was a picture that represented -3. Okay. Remember, all those ones and negative ones canceled out. So that's really a picture of -3 right now. Now, if we take away, okay, that's the minus sign right there, 5 negatives. So that's when we scribbled out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If we take away 5 negatives, what was left over? Well, now when we look at our new set of numbers, what was left over was worth +2. All right, so we're trying to figure out, how does this happen? How does -3 minus -5 equal 2? So we're going to figure out the transformation that we have to do to subtraction problems to make them easier to do. Okay, so when we're subtracting integers, we're going to do a little trick. We're going to call it keep, change, opposite. Some of your teachers will call it adding the opposite. Okay, you do this for subtraction problems only. Okay, so whenever you see a subtraction problem, I like to split it up. I'm going to keep the first number, I'm going to change the minus into plus, and I'm going to take the opposite of the second number. Okay, so for this problem, I would keep the -3. I would change the minus into a plus sign. And what's the opposite of -5? Well, the opposite of -5 is +5. And now we're following the adding rules. So now I have -3 plus 5. I owe $3, I have 5. When I pay that off, I get 2. Okay, so that's how -3 plus 5 equals 2. We're going to do this transformation. We're going to change it into an addition problem because we already practiced with addition. Okay, it'll make these problems a lot easier. Okay, here's one more example, and then we'll go through some more examples on the next page. Okay, so how would -4 minus -5 equal +1? How would that work? Well, let's try the keep, change, opposite transformation. Okay, so I'm going to keep the -4. I'm going to change the minus into a plus. And the opposite of -5 is +5. So -4 plus 5. I owe $4, I have 5. When I pay that off, I'm still going to have 1. So that's how it works. Whenever you have subtraction only. I do this trick for subtraction problems. And when you have subtraction only, you're going to do keep, change, opposite. Okay, so here are some examples we'll go through. We're going to rewrite them as an adding problem and then solve. Okay, so all of these we're going to do keep, change, opposite. Anytime you have subtraction. Okay, so the first one, keep the -8. Change the minus into plus. The opposite of a -2 is a +2. Okay, so -8 plus 2. I owe 8, I have 2. I'm going to owe 6. Keep. Change. The opposite of a 9 is a -9. I have $4 plus I owe 9. When I pay my 4, I'm still going to owe them 5. Keep, change, opposite. So keep the -3 the same, change the minus into plus. The opposite of 7 is -7. I owe 3 plus I owe 7. Together I'm going to owe 10. negative 9 minus negative 2. Okay, some teachers will say add the opposite. Opposite of negative 2 is positive 2. Negative 9 plus 2 is negative 7. I owe 9. I paid 2. I still owe 7. All right, and then the last one, keep the 5. Change the minus into plus. The opposite of negative 2 is positive 2. So this problem, number 5, that looked complicated, it's actually only the same as 5 plus 2. 5 plus 2 is 7. All right, and then here are 5 problems for you to try. Rewrite them as an addition problem using keep change opposite, and then see if you can answer them. Okay, so number 6, 40 minus 70. Okay, should have did keep change opposite. 40 plus negative 70 is negative 30. Number 7, 10 minus negative 5. Again, hopefully you did keep change opposite. 10 plus 5 is 15. Number 8, negative 50 minus 20. Okay, now this is the same as negative 50 plus negative 20, which is negative 70. Number 9, negative 10 minus 10. Okay, be careful. I see a lot of mistakes on this one. Make sure you rewrite using keep change opposite. Negative 10 plus negative 10 is negative 20. They have the same signs. You add and keep the sign. It is not 0. Okay, and the last one, negative 10 minus negative 10. Okay, that one is negative 10 plus positive 10. You owe 10, you have 10. When you pay that, you have 0. So that last one is 0. Okay, again, if you have extra time, please go back through your notes. Make sure you can answer these problems.